What's up guys, this is World of Dust Gaming, your channel for fresh Arena of Valor content, and as you guys might have noticed, I am on a quest to field the champions that I haven't played in quite a while, and I finally have been able to play Dirak in a ranked match, and I haven't played him since September last year, so you had to wait for 12 months to see Dirak again on this channel. That said, Dirak isn't one of the best mages right now in the game. I have the feeling that he's quite underpaced. His playstyle is actually quite slow. He plays more as some sort of supportive mage without any chances that he might fill the support role in the near future. That's not something that I want to talk about, or I don't want to imagine, because that would be horrible. But yeah, whatever, we're going to talk about Dirak today. I'm going to show you what I have been playing right now, and I've got some gameplay for you, as I said, in a ranked match. So first of all, I want to share my build with you. Oh, I don't want to purchase any tickets. So equipment-wise, I'm going with something the game calls Instant Burst, and I feel that is more some sort of joke, but we're going to talk about that in the actual gameplay. So what you can see is that we're building a lot of the staple items that you're going to see on most mages right now. We've got some boots. In this case, we're going with the flashy boots because we want to spam our abilities as much as possible. Then we've got Barry's Agony, we've got the Doomstick and the Diadem here, which are basically staple. If it happens that there are some heroes that rely on health regeneration, I think Tome of Reaper makes total sense. In this game, it didn't, so I'm not going to build it. And the Arctic Orb is there for the late game when you are in teamfight situations where you want to be invincible for 2 seconds, but the first 3 items, Barrett's Agony, Diadem and Boomstick, are the ones that you really want to focus on in the early game. Enchantment wise, as I know that we have to build some items on Dirak to be kind of there in the game, to have some damage output, it's really important to get some gold early on, and therefore I'm going with Minion Kill and Alchemy with Enhanced Restore as our staple to be more sustainability wise in the game. And then in the second enchantment page, I'm going with Blessing and Acts of Sacrifice. I think that Mana Refill might be actually quite suitable, because I will have some mana issues now and then in the game, but you guys are going to see for yourself. Arcana wise, I'm going with something which is this Instant Burst build. It contains 10 times Violate, which I think is actually quite usual. Devour in the second stage, and then we're going with Flurry for some additional magic penetration, because we really have a hard time on shredding through armor with this build and dealing damage. It feels a little bit lackluster, but that is not because of the build, but because of how Dirak works in the first place. So this is the build. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, write something in the comments to help me grow the channel, and share it on Facebook and Twitter and all sorts of things. And yeah, let's make it work, and let's hop right into the gameplay, because that is because you have clicked on the video. This is the reason why you're here. So let's get started. Alright, here we go. And as you guys can see, with our current team composition, I think we have actually a pretty decent, eventually even strong matchup. We've got Lubu, good solo laner. We've got Hayate and Grug, good combination. One is super mobile, the other one is super tanky and quite deadly with his hooks. And we've got Pain, who is undoubtedly not one of the strongest junglers right now in the game, but he mostly trades one-on-one. So if he gets a kill, he might be dead afterwards, but he can pick on important targets in the backline without any problem, because his kit is just so versatile and mobile, with a lot of teleports and things acting towards the role of the jungler. So I was actually quite confident that we were about to win the game, because as you can see, or as you might notice throughout the game, we have a 380 carry team composition on the opposing side of the team. So we've got Valheim, Joker, and Telenas. So I think every one of them has some sort of value. But 3 AD carries are actually not something that you want to have on your team, because you are going to limit yourself in order of the perfect team composition. So the enemy doesn't have a tank. They've got Crixie in the middle in addition to those 3 AD carries. And then they've got, I think it is Wukong as a jungler. So a lot of squishy targets who are basically predominantly targets for our Hayate as well as our Pain. He should not have any problem on getting them on the spot without any problem. But you guys are going to see for yourself, because what I'm talking about is the theory in terms of the match composition, but of course it depends highly on the player skill and the momentum. So it all boils down to, have I got some map awareness? And a lot of players on this elo when I'm playing in, which is Platinum, haven't got any map awareness at all. So this is going to become crucial. You guys didn't see it, but Hayate and Pain are mates in our team. And I think Telenas and Wukong are playing together on the opposing team, just to give you a quick overview. And I'm playing with Lubu. So this is someone that I have known for a long time, and we just decided to play a couple of games in a duo ranked queue, and this is what you guys are going to get. So first skill for Grok here, nice play. I think he used his abilities fairly well. Gives us an assist, and now it's time to get some recall, but I decided to go back for once in order to push the lane and at least deal some damage. And the problem that I've got with Dirak after the nerf, where they touched his S2, is that his abilities are really, really slow pacing. So there's nothing fast and instant as Natalia or Tulen would offer, but Dirak's spells need a little bit more prediction. You need to kind of assume where the enemy is about to move in order to make work from your S2 as well as your S1, because it's just some kind of passive orb that floats across the battlefield, and it makes it a little bit hard to predict where the enemies are kind of going to, because yeah, that's just that. And you guys are going to see a really good example on how difficult it is to follow up with damage if the enemy is trying to get away from you, because your spells are just not fast enough to track them down. And I think that is a bummer. So first 5 minutes of the game were a little bit back and forth. We were trying to get the enemies, they were trying to get us, and all in all, 5-2 is not crazy. I think we had a good start, getting some early kills on. Enemies were trying to get some kills in their respective. Now we've got the first tower, so everything is set up for a good game, but nothing crazy in particular. So we've got all the time in the world. Unfortunately, Pain is killed here by Wukong. I don't really understand how this has happened, and now it is my time to repel Wukong here from our blue buff. I wanted to get Wukong here with my ultimate, but I aimed a little bit too far on the left hand side of his movement path, and unfortunately I'm not able to get the reverse kill on him after he dealt with our Pain, but at least I'm able to repel the minions from the tower, so no additional destruction forces on our tower. And now it's time to go back to the middle lane again to get some support to our Grug, who's fighting by himself right now, and we all know that Grug doesn't have the best speed when it comes to deal with minions. Nice hook again, so he really does a good job here on getting important targets and kind of luring them out of the game for once in a while. Again, another really nice hook, and I don't want to steal that kill here. My abilities were on cooldown anyways, but I would say good execution. I do get another kill here, and now is the time. That's what I wanted to talk about. My spells are so slow that I can't do anything when Joker is trying to get away from us. I think the only thing that I could have used was my ult, but I mean, it has a really long cooldown, so you need to be picky about the times when you're going to use the ult. So this was not the time. Our tower damage isn't insane, and now as Crixie is already approaching our minions, there's not really that much that I can do. So basically, I'm put in the position where I'm just poking, dealing some damage, trying to put some damage into the minion waves here so that my wave management doesn't collapse, and this is most of the stuff that I'm doing. So it's not super smooth sailing. Sometimes you get the feeling that you are more some sorts of hindrance because you really need to focus on what's going on here now and then. I mean, ultimate is your kill stealer. It's your favorite tool on getting the kills. Every time you use your ultimate, you should get a kill because 45 seconds cooldown is actually quite long. So make sure that you use the ult every single time where you actually get a target, because otherwise it might just be wasted. So it's not there to soften up targets, it's there to finish what you have started at the beginning of a fight. What I have said about Dirak is not so true for the later stages of the game, because what you guys are going to see in the later stages is that his damage is actually going to be quite good. The only problem that you have is that his spells are actually quite slow pacing, as I already said in the intro. So you need to make sure that you hit those so that some CC hero, for example like RoV, makes total sense. So stick with them, try to use your spells to the very best, because that is when you can get the most out of your spells. If you are ending up on yourself without any CC, it might just be hard to get those damage points across. So I was using my spells here to kind of repel Crixie from getting away, and it was well deserved because now our Lubu can get a kill on Crixie. Unfortunately, we do not get an assist here. I was wondering about that yet in that replay, because I thought that the time was not that far across, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's about winning the game, not about getting assists or any score things. So it's now it bothers me, but when I was playing the game, I was fine with that because I was just thinking, okay, Crixie is now dead. So we do get another tower because that tower wasn't occupied by any of the enemies. Trying to shove that minions into that tower again. Good Grog ult. This guy knows what he's doing, and he's doing that fairly well. As you might have seen on my channel, I've got a game where I was playing with Grog, and that was actually quite terrifying because he did not hit anything at all. I think one hook was actually a hero. The other hooks were basically just thin air or some minions, and it's your bread and butter. Like, if you don't hit any skill shots with Grog, that champion is actually quite useless because he doesn't have that great damage output, and his main combo is going from S2 into ultimate to just pinpoint enemies at his target location, giving your teammates the opportunity to deal damage. But in this case, this work was fairly good, and of course you're going to receive a thumbs up in the end of the battle. And he even wanted to play another game with me, but as I just have the time right now to make another video, I just decided to go for the video instead of playing another round, because I had 3 rounds today, and that is enough. That was 1 hour of gaming in Arena of Valor. So another nice hook, putting us on 6 kills right now. I mean, it's always some kind of surprise when I play Dirak. I always have the feeling that I'm not really doing that much or contributing too much effort into the team fights, but every single time I play him, I do get a lot of kills. Of course, it's not the kill level that I would get on a Natalia or a Tulan or a Liliana, but in comparison to other champions such as Azankar or Isha, who play more like support mage heroes, and that's something that I already said about Dirak in the first place, I still have the feeling that his damage output is better, but while saying so, it doesn't feel that way. I don't know if you guys get it, but the damage output of Dirak is quite consistent, but because his spells are so slow with the area damage and the knockback from his S1 and S2, I always have the feeling that I don't really have that much of an impact on the actual outcome of a battle. And that's something that bothers me from playing Dirak more. So he's not one of those mage heroes that is on my top priority list whenever I have to fill that role. As I already mentioned, Natalia, Tulan, Liliana, those would be the heroes that I would play whenever I have the opportunity to fill that gap, or have the kind of the responsibility to play the mage role. But in this case, Dirak would not be on my list. I just don't like this super slow playstyle with all this kind of shenanigans. I mean, yes, the damage output is actually quite good in the later stages of the game, but his kind of slow poke playstyle doesn't really fit how I wanna address this game. I like more sorts of bursty heroes with good damage in one particular situation without the great sustained damage all in all. So it just doesn't get me. It's not this type of hero that I'm going to be excited about whenever I can play him. And I think fair enough. They've got more than 100 heroes, so there's a hero for every sort of playstyle, every sort of experience that people want to have with this game. So it's not necessary that I feel good about Dirak, but I just wanted to share my thoughts with you on this champion. He's just a different kind of hero. So this ult was totally wasted, and now unfortunately I wasted a lot of mana, and therefore Telenas is able to get me for the first time. As I said, I was thinking about building Tome of the Reaper in the first place, but in this game it's actually not suitable, and I decided to go with Frosty's Revenge here, because this item is going to give me some nice slow on my spells, which makes it a little bit easier to track enemies with the next consecutive spell or even auto attacks. It's just 5% slow, but better than 0, I guess. So I was totally going for that item. If you guys are asking yourself why I didn't build Holy of Holies, which would have been the strongest item combination ever, I had the feeling that this game is not going to take that long, and therefore I wanted to use something that I can actually use instead of building something that I would not build in the end of the battle, just for hygienic reasons. And therefore I was building Frosty's Revenge, because now I think I need about 1000 gold in addition to the gold that I already have, and this is totally fine. I can totally work with that, but the game is already over. I think we had a solid presence on the battlefield with Dirak. 6 kills is fine. We kept the enemies occupied with a lot of our spells, and so everything was good. Ruckus MVP for a deserved reason. Good job, Frank the Tank. Well played. And I think with 10.9, we do not have to hide ourselves here. In the meantime, 31.7% damage. That's something that I did not really expect as an outcome of that battle. But this was my Dirak game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. And likes, comments, shares. Yes, do it. Thanks, and have a nice evening. Bye-bye.